Good morning. Welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 483, and today we're going to be covering Irish Stick and the Chief. Bernie's coming to America, and he'll be coming to New York, and he's going to be doing a seminar and attending another seminar. So we're going to find all about that good stuff. If you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. Smash that like button. If you have questions, put them on the right-hand side. I'll be sure to get to them. But as long as they don't interrupt the flow of the conversation, I will write them down and make sure they get asked. Joining Bernie is going to be John Borter. He's the main guy here in America. So we're going to get both their perspectives on the upcoming trip and etc. So without further ado, here we go. Hey, guys.
Hey.
So welcome to FMA Discussion. So this is John's first, if I'm not mistaken. Bernie, you're a seasoned veteran.
I am, yeah. I've got tattoos and everything from it.
Life-altering experience, forever compromised.
Let me just going to clear one little point before we move on. It's lovely. John is one of my top instructors in the US, but he's not my main guy because we have loads of instructors and coaches in the US. So just to make sure,
I was going to
get
emails. Okay, fair enough. One of your guys.
Me and then the rest of us. So I mean,
that's it.
Yeah, no worries. All right. So what kicked off the trip? Kind of last minute, you decided to come to New York?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing Piper with yourself for the last couple of years.
What the hell is Piper?
Yeah, I know. And I thought, there was a seminar on this weekend, and I thought, well, why not? Let's go. So this is called the Last Minute Irish Stick Seminar because it's pretty much last minute. So we're going to be in New York. And it's going to be great fun. So we're putting the whole weekend together. We're coming along on Saturday and training with yourself, and Sunday we're swinging sticks.
Wow.
Wonderful New York.
Man, so I mean, and so no issues with. I mean, the little tricky kind of coordinating, getting that spot Sunday, which sounds like it really worked out with Nick and there. So that was nice.
That was really good, and it's really good of Nick. He's been really helpful, and I'm really grateful to him. And it's just for some reason it's all falling into place.
I was gonna say, man, the plans are lining up because when you first brought it up, and I'm thinking like, okay, maybe Nick can do something, and then there was the juggernaut of Father's Day, and then whether it could be in the city, in traffic, and that could be potentially disastrous. So I'm really glad it worked out, kind of outside the city, where definitely, folks definitely where they can get there significantly easier without that wonderful New York traffic.
Yeah, I could just imagine. It always surprises me and anyone I train with will tell you the same thing. My US geography is pretty rich. So when we talk about going to New York, I imagine somewhere like Dublin, where in 20 minutes you can be sort of a couple of miles into it, whereas in New York, like 20 minutes is you just getting from your car into the traffic, So yeah, and the actual geographic space and how big America is, it always freaks me out. So yeah, maybe a good experience.
Wow. So John, what do you think, man? You must be pretty excited he's coming over.
I'm excited, and I think that's one of the main reasons I'm glad to be sitting on this because I train with both you guys. So it's like, I do my Piper with Dean, and we do Irish Stick with Bernie, and so I think this is going to be fan. We're excited. We're very excited about it.
I'm thrilled. Like when he said he was coming, at first I'm like, nah, man, this is not going to happen. It's just like too soon. How's he going to coordinate this? And then like week went by, I'm like, wow, it's really going to happen. Like he's actually going to come. So I can't just wait to, both of you having both in the same room, and I'm going to get to work with both of you. I told Rich and there. So I want to make sure it's worth your while,
Are you coming on the Sunday for the Irish Stick?
Sunday, Father's Day, I will be shot. Yeah.
Oh, folks, if you're listening, I think you need to put a message into Dean's wife to say, come on, let him go. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, I tried that, and it didn't go over well. So, okay. But I did try, so Yeah, that's going to be a tough sell. The kids, her. Hey, by the way, I'm going off to Irish Stickland. You know.
Well,
Uh,
Um, so,
I,
I'll be
I,
bringing a few of my students with me too, so that should help out a little bit.
that'd be
yeah.
awesome. That'd be awesome.
But
Uh,
I told people this. If we have 100 people, we have 10 people. Anytime, and I'm not saying this to kind of blow smoke. Anytime I get to train with Bernie, it's just like he's coming to the States. We got to get there, kind of thing. I mean, training with the head of the system, he's just brilliant, brilliant. This has become my passion in life. This Irish stick stuff, all because of this man in the middle of the screen here. So, thank you.
I don't know very well. Thank you, John. I really appreciate that, and it's been an honor to train with yourself and all my guys in the US. If it wasn't for you guys, it wouldn't be half what it is. You and Trish and the guys, Koo and Brian and Tom and everybody. We've got some great people out there. And I'm very lucky. We've got some. I mean, I've got Jack Parrow's coming on Sunday, which is Jack. You guys in the Irish Stick. Jack is a long-time student at Glenn Doyle's, and it's going to be my first time actually meeting him. I'm so looking forward to it. And there's going to be some people there, so it's going to be good fun. Good fun.
I'm excited about meeting. I didn't realize Jack was coming. I'm glad you mentioned that. I had one of his students, John Moran, come to a seminar I did down that way. Super guy, great Irish stick fighter. So it's a really good circle down there too. So
it's going to be great.
So again, when I had you on, I don't know, God knows how long ago, and I think I mentioned this to John as well, just still in awe of like the growth and the traction that, again, like I've covered a lot of systems on here. It's going on 5 years now, and I've just never seen a system just blow up the ways yours has, and the traction and the growth. And like, this question for both of you, like, what do you attribute it to?
I attribute it to COVID. To be honest.
Okay.
Zoom, honestly, I'd never heard of Zoom till COVID, and training online was something that I've never heard of. It was something that I would them. I'll just move back to Mike's picking me up. When COVID came, it's when I started. Look, I was getting bored at home, and lots of people were reaching out, going, "Look, can you do lessons? Can you do stuff online?" So that's when it started, and it's COVID that got it going. And I think it's also the fact that it's not a martial art that discriminates on age. And I don't mean like all martial arts discriminate on age in that sense. I mean that it's from people from, I have students who are 10 years old, I have students in their 80s. And it's mobility. It's not, you don't have to be able to do the splits. You don't have to be able to punch 100 miles an hour. You don't have to do loads of sit-ups and punch it. It's very much like, well, you've got your own pace and it revolves around you. And the fact is, you're hitting someone with a very heavy stick, and that tends to be very kind of handy when it comes to self-defense. You whack them on the head, they don't want to play with you anymore. That's what Irish stick's about, And plus the history. I mean, it's got a fantastic history, a very long history, and a beautiful history. Again, it's all about violence, but even so, it's all very beautiful, and the traditions, and I'm always, and myself personally, I'm always finding stuff out about it, which kind of amazes me about it, and I think that's what people find the attraction. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking to what's called a Shanachie, which is a storyteller, traditional Irish storyteller, and I mentioned to him that I was doing Irish stick fighting, and he was telling me about some of the stick fights in the local area, and a lot has been lost in the history of the system. And he was telling me about a stick fighter in County Sligo, which is just down the road from me. And two guys came to his village to beat the young guys up, as a kind of rivalry thing in Irish stick. And the old gentleman turned up with 2 shillelaghs, and he fought them with 2 shillelaghs in his hands, one in each hand, which makes you think, well, actually, there was a two-handed system with using 2. So the thing about this, a lot of it is lost, but again, that's what makes it so attractive. That's what people want to do. It's because it's fantastic history, wonderful stories. It's just amazing.
Yeah. When we promote our program, we get those three marketable things, right? Fun, fitness, and self-defense. Because anybody can pick up a stick. How many times have you heard somebody pick up a stick and you go, put that stick down, you're going to poke your brother's eye out, kind of thing. You put a stick in a younger person's hand, especially, they just want to hit something. It's fun to swing a stick. And we have a blast when we're training. Fitness, it is a nice workout. You get a nice cardio workout. Doing this kind of full time now, I'm down 20 pounds from what I usually am at this time, and consistently for a long time. So, and to Bernie's end, self-defense. We use a shillelagh, right? We use a stick, but that could be an umbrella. That could be a walking cane. That could be a hiking stick. There's a universal approach to that. So yeah, definitely that kind of thing. But Bernie made a good point about COVID. I usually say Zoom, but I like COVID better. I'm going to start using that as my answer. The second thing is, taking this hundred years old art, bringing it kind of into the 21st century. We've really made a big splash on social media. It's how we're promoting a lot of the Irish stick fighting, and people are noticing this. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And again, not to compliment Bernie, because he does take confidence well, but Bernie's doing a great job kind of leading the charge, right? We have the direction out of it. So it's just we wouldn't do this if we didn't have somebody with Bernie's skill set and stuff in place. So we wouldn't be able to do it. So
it's just amazing. Like I remember when I first on, like the history I found was so fascinating. Like just incredibly intriguing. Like not just the whiskey distilleries and the fighting there, but it's interesting. Like, yeah, it makes you wonder, Bernie, like what is kind of still under the rocks that hasn't been revealed yet? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just wondering, is there any resource or anything that you can tap into to maybe find out if there were other methods like double or what have you, or other methodologies? Do you think is that available within research?
It has been researched. Unfortunately, because of the Irish tradition, was a lot of oral tradition. So a lot of the history is passed down sort of verbally. And you had, again, the famine when it came to Ireland was a big thing, and that wiped out a massive chunk of the population. So a lot of the old traditions, such as stick fighting, took a massive beating in that. So after that, you had various pockets of stick fighting still existing, but a lot of it had gone because a lot of people had emigrated. Ireland went from 8 million to, I think it was 3.5 million people over that period of time, over the famine. So a lot of the stick fighting went. I mean, this is what saved it, actually, was not the famine, but the Doyles had left primarily, and they had to, Glenn's Mr. Doyle's great grandfather, uncle, had to leave Ireland in a very much of a hurry because of the British occupation forces. So he left and went to Newfoundland, and that's just what continued the tradition on. A lot of it died away because after the famine, and you had the 1920s, 30s, there were still fights going on. And my own grandfather witnessed the fight in Avon, where a man killed another man with, we know to be the President Balloon. He caught him right behind the ear here and killed the guy out. But that's my family link to it. But again, talking locally, people would tell me, there's someone up there, he's a stick fighter. All right, where is he? Oh, he died in 1952, So a lot of that tradition is gone because people have died and the traditions have died away. It's like Glenn says that a king is never paid into his own country. So what you would find is, people, even today, this is the thing with it in Ireland, is telling people, this is our martial art, this is our part of our heritage. Very much like the Philippines initially, when because a lot of Filipinos don't know about it and wouldn't do it. Because we do karate, we want to do Japanese or Chinese martial arts. We and so that again was against it. But it's now making a rise again. But for the research purposes, the only people that we can go to now are people like what's called Shanachty storyteller. And these people that will save stories handed down to him. This gentleman is in his 80s, and he's just this wealth of knowledge. And I'm hoping to go and film and asking questions and record it, and then telling me spots of stuff around where fights were and where the graves of stick fighters were. And he didn't have a shillelagh carved into the rock on one of these guys. So one of my lads went up to have a look a couple of weeks ago, and he couldn't find it. So that's my next mission. That's the next bit. When I get some time. As my wife keeps saying, when you get time, Well, I'm going to do that and try and preserve some of that history. It would be great. It'd be so great to find those other systems, but I don't think we're going to find them now. I think they've died out. You know.
That's just too bad. 'Cause I mean, like, yeah, I think that'd be worth the time well spent seeing what you can dig up just to complement what you're doing and just as far as the history aspect as well. Just fascinating. Yeah, it's so odd. Like, you reference the Philippines and how there's folks over there that don't even know about their own art. You know what I mean? Which is in a way kind of sad. But it's great that you're bringing back this history and this culture and because when I look at it from afar, when I look at you guys, I see like kind of all in one. I see this cultural piece, the dress, the sticks, the various sticks, the ornate quality of them, depending on who's making them from afar, and then, of course, the actual application of it there. I think the whole melting pot of it is fascinating outside looking in. And so, going back to COVID, that's so interesting because, what COVID did, like, again, well, first of all, online teaching is not going away. It's here to stay now. I mean, it's not, and I think there's benefits, pros and cons to it, but the pros is what you mentioned, like actually able to grow and perpetuate and bring back to life this art, you know what I mean? And perhaps if it weren't for COVID, maybe, you wouldn't, I'm not saying this is true or not, but maybe you wouldn't have gotten the traction or the audience that you currently have now. So I think that being one of the benefits. So John, I mean, you've been like really picking back off the whole COVID thing. I mean, I forget what you quoted as far as your Zoom online lessons and all that, but when you're teaching on there, is it something that's pretty relatable, fairly easy?
It is for me only because prior to doing this as my vocation and my passion, I was actually in corporate training for quite a while. And when COVID hit, everything had to change because we had people all over the country that had to train, and it was a tough transition. We heard, oh, you can't do it that way. We made it work. We made it work well. So for me, it was a very easy transition to COVID, to Zoom. I guess it's the same thing. And but no, it takes a little work, takes a little time. It's not for everybody. I do see experienced instructors, spend a lot of time kind of staring at the screen when they're doing a class, and that's not a great way to do it. When you're doing, okay, Bob, turn your left foot. You can't do that because you have 10 others.
I know. I remember my first one, man. I was scared to death. Now it's like second nature, but that first one, man, I was. Ooh.
So, we're doing pretty good.
It's far harder to teach on Zoom. I think because in person you can go up to the students, go, actually turn this way, do this, to the other. You've physically got to find a way and mentally find a way to explain it to someone on a 2D perspective, So yeah, it's harder. It really. I find I'm a much better teacher now than I was when I first started. Much more compassionate.
Yeah, I tell you though, so one of the benefits. Again, I was scared to death in the beginning. I'll never forget the first. Lord gave me the blessing. He goes, look, I gotta trust you, and I was like, okay. So when I did the first, seminar Zoom, I was scared to death. I'm looking at all these faces looking at me. I'm just and I mean, thank God I just kind of clicked in. But it's funny when I look back then to now, it's like night and day as far as teaching, like the growth of and the relaying of information. But I tell you though, what it has done, I'm sure you guys are going to test this. Man, now when I get something in person, it's just so easier because you got to get so creative online and tap into certain things that you're going to do to really get what the result that you want out of them and getting, so you guys find the same thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing replaces face-to-face, right?
Sure.
That's what we promote, like the seminar this weekend. Look, you'll do great on COVID. I keep saying COVID. You'll great on Zoom, right? You'll get it. But man, you know what? Bernie's coming to town. You don't want to miss this opportunity to do. There was a technique that I just couldn't get through my head that has become my favorite technique. The first couple of years training with Bernie was stir the pot, and I'm like, I just can't get this. I even had Trish as a partner, and I just didn't understand it. So, we met up with Bernie when he was doing a seminar in Boston. I said, "You're in the park." He said, "Bernie, could you just do the stir the pot thing to me? I just don't get it." He's like, "Sure, come on over." And he goes, "Boom!" I went flying across the park, and I was like, "That's how that's supposed to feel." All right, now I got it. So you can't substitute Zoom for face to face, but it's a good supplement. But if you can get to a live seminar with a good instructor, Bernie coming to town is a huge opportunity. But like Bernie said, we got a number of really good people over here. There's myself, there's Brian Purdy, there's TJ Medlin, there's Tom. Tom Moores is a great instructor. Koo McCann out towards Baltimore. I mean, we've got, if you go to the website, we have a list of the instructors and coaches that are teaching now. So if somebody out there wants to train, there's enough resources out there.
Yeah, you guys got some folks and now I know East Coast. It sounds like you're pretty stacked. How you guys far as Midwest or out west?
Well, I've got my first Midwest coach now, Thomas Proctor, who's just starting out, and I'm really pleased about that because he's very, very good. And I have some really, we're kind of that Midwest, but my goal is to get further across to sort of California and the West Coast. But we'll get there. It's just to take a bit of time.
I can't see how you guys won't get there. I mean, I think it's just a matter of time with you guys, just finding good guys, start training groups, however you guys do it. I think it's just a matter of time with you guys. Yeah, before you know it, you're going to have guys all over the place. How you guys doing besides? I know in Europe, obviously, but outside of Europe and America, any other continents you guys getting folks in?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a coach in Egypt.
Egypt, oh my gosh.
Yeah, a great guy, Ahmed. Wonderful guy, wonderful student. Yeah, very good, very nice guy. We call him best student because that's what he keeps saying. Best student, best teacher. Good lad, very good lad. Prague, the Czech Republic. Now we started to grow in. I've got a coach in Germany now with Timo. I've got my two lads down, Krak and Radek, down in Czech Republic. And I've got Daniel, who's a coach who trained another style of Irish stick, but he's now come over to us, so we're going to re-educate him and help him get up, and he's going to be awesome. Off the top of my head, so far, those are my coaches around the world, and I want to build it more and get bigger. England, I've got 18 coaches in England.
That's a lot. Wow.
And I'm hoping in the next year or so to start looking at competitions, trying to get sort of the world competitions back, which I think will be great fun. We're going to divide it instead because I'm not a young man anymore, so I'm that young. I'm looking at getting sponsored by Ben Gay. We're kind of
sorry for Ben Gay, Bernard Leddy.
Yeah, exactly. So
But
deep.
yeah.
So we'll be we're gonna get there. We're doing.
No, you guys are definitely gonna get there. I get it.
I don't have any coaches. I don't have any coaches underneath me yet, but I've got students in Canada, Mexico, Hong Kong, the Netherlands, and a few other places that are outside. The region. So when we get them up to snuff, I think it's just going to be a huge opportunity. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Again, it's like again, I've watched systems come up and just have yet to see something just grow as explosive as you guys and the groups and the numbers and just I think it's pretty amazing on the outside looking in. It's pretty incredible.
It wasn't a couple of years ago that the system was hardly known. We were at a seminar or an event one time, and a gentleman come up and he walked up and he was looking at our information stuff, and she goes, I'm 86 years old. I was born in County Cork. I've never heard any of this before. And I was like, I'm not surprised. There's a lot of
you guys are bringing back to life, so sounds like you guys are taking care of that. So
Bernie planted the seed. We're just out of the water. So
yeah. So Bernie, with that, for folks who maybe didn't see your earlier episodes, what really kind of propagated you, or what was the inspiration for you to bring it to the forefront?
I got involved. I mean, I've always been involved in martial arts. I've been involved in judo, aikido, Wing Chun for a long time, and I've also, FMA for quite a while. But Irish stick, being an Irish martial art, it was. I kind of, the story is, and I'll tell you the story. I busted my knee at work. I used to do corrections in the UK, and I was out for 2 years. And I had 2 operations on my knee, and it was kind of coming back into it. And I kind of thought I wanted to go a different route. So I started looking at martial arts. I always loved martial arts. The gym stuff, yeah, it's great fun. But it's very boring. I'd rather be punching someone in the face and lifting weights. We started looking at what I could do, and everything was very much similar. And then I started looking at my own culture and my own history of the Irish and stuff. And I found about Stick, and then I found about Glenn Doyle. To be honest with you, I was beautiful one night with too many glasses of wine inside me, and started looking at martial arts. And then I looked at Irish martial arts for a laugh, and it came up with Glenn Doyle. And being a complete computer geek, I just studied it, and then wrote to him and went over and trained with it. When I came back to the UK, it was, because I was living in the UK at the time, as you can probably tell from the accent, I was very much alone, because people would look at it like all these drunk Irishmen hit each other with sticks, and that they would go, oh, do we need to get drunk first, or is it whiskey involved? And you go, well, that's a little bit racist. But what we would say is, it's basically the system. So people weren't very supportive at one point, and there's actually got to a point where I was in a hole on my own, and I just thought, nobody's there, nobody's turning up, and what's the point of this? I'll just keep doing that. But I was very lucky that a lovely man called Andy Crowe in the UK invited me to do a seminar in the UK, and I went and done it, and it blew up. It just, as soon as, and the weird thing is, it wasn't people who haven't done martial arts at the seminar. These are people that were some of the heads of organizations, people that had done years of other martial arts training, because once they see it, they were like, I understand what you're doing here. This is very good. And that just blew up from there. It just went mad. It was fantastic, And yeah, it's just been like UK exploded, moved to Ireland. Then I met John online, and then now the US is exploding as well. It's like fantastic, That's what's brought it to the forefront. And it's become now a passion of mine. That it's something that I want to firstly bring home to Ireland. So have this in every community centre and church hall in Ireland, but also spread around the world so people can see it, because I think it's one of the best self-defenses in the world. There's nothing. I mean, this is battle hardened, as they say, because it all comes from fighting. It's not about the niceties, and we don't waste anything. And you're looking at opponents with Irish stick. You're not just looking at one singular person. You're thinking of, you might be fighting 5 or 6 people, so you're going to fight one guy very quickly. And like you say, better have 5 blows in 5 minutes. Rather hit someone 5 times and have 5 minutes chance jumping around trying to kill them. I mean, fight them, not kill them. That's so yeah, that's where it comes from, and this is why we brought it forward. So. How's that?
No, I think that's incredible that you wanted within your country, like, get it just so where it's a part of the culture, like you're saying, every church or every community center, etc. I think that's fantastic. Where now everybody will be made aware of it. You know what I mean? Not just self-defense wise, but just knowing part of their culture. And that. So John, what got you so intrigued and invested into it initially?
I bought a shillelagh online from Declan Casey. A lot of people that are watching this probably know who Declan. Declan is one of the very, very best shillelagh makers in the world, in my opinion. His work is just phenomenal. I just liked it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's like an Irish walking stick. That's kind of cool. And then I got it, and actually one of the instructors, James Stewart, who I had connected online and talked about other martial arts stuff, he says, now that you have one of those, you got to learn how to use it. And I'm like, it's a walking stick. How tough can it be? He's like, no, it's a fighting stick. It's a weapon. Reach out to Bernie. So I reached out to Bernie, and the rest is history. We started training weekly, and got together a couple of times in person, and it just lit a fire, And I've been It's funny. Somebody had said at one point that I was one of the most dysfunctional martial artists that they've ever met because I've dabbled in a lot of things. I have a couple of black belts and stuff, but I always try something new and trying to find really what lights my fire. And this is it. This is the thing right here that does it for me. This is the first time I've been excited about a martial art in decades. And it's just, I love every moment of it. To your comment about heritage and stuff, two of my clubs are in Irish organizations. One's in the Celtic Hall and one's at the local AOH because they want to get connected to that heritage. Heritage is very important to Irish people. Very important. It's crucial. It's a critical part of their history. And they're just excited to have something tangible in their hand that reflects hundreds of years of history. And yeah, it's huge over here too. Absolutely. It's getting big, especially from that area.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with the walking stick is like, when I look at, well, you guys have heard my spiel and moral compass value system, legally defensible, household items, things that folks can relate to without carrying a 10-inch banger around you. You know what I mean? But the whole thing with the walking stick, nobody's gonna think twice. You know what I mean? Like, it's in there, and so I definitely could see that. It just happens to be, you guys are taking that walking stick with some thorns on it, and so, but
as well, and nothing is wasted. I mean, in Irish, in Doyle's, in the ring, in the whole system, there's nothing is wasted. A lot of systems, you'll do stuff that, well, that's lovely and flowery, but what's the point of it? In Irish stick, even getting, we call it the switch, getting from a standing position to the regrab position, that's a usable technique. That's a technique that should, because it's very much like the old fighter pulling out the revolver in the streets in some western town. Well, it's the same thing. I've got my stick. If someone moves and I go to grab the stick, that's going to be an attack. I'm not going to hold back and have to wait till I get to my reset position. It's going to be, that's an attack on the way to the reset. So the whole thing of Irish stick is we don't waste anything, and the Doyle style is very combative in that sense because we like to get close in, which again, for self-defense is great because you disable the guy. You're closing in, you're closing that distance, and then he's finished, all very quick.
So Doyle being one of the bigger factions, it sounds like, what are some of the other factions that are, I guess, notable?
You've got, Doyle is primarily, in my opinion, is the only traditional Irish one left with genuine Irish roots. Other forms you have the Antrim style, which the guys Max in Canada, and they're doing a great job themselves there. And that's probably about it that are generally linked to Ireland, historically, anyway, that I know, so there's not a lot of competition. That's right.
Wow. I mean, so is it, so the ones that are, besides the two, Doyle and the one you mentioned in Canada, are there others that are coming out, but they're just not, they don't touch upon the roots, or is it kind of just blended systems?
I think you need to really talk to a historian. I'm a stick swinger, not really a historian. I like to have that understanding of the history, but I'm a stick swinger. I'm not a historian. I believe in my system, and as far as I'm concerned, my system is the best system in the world. Which you ask any instructor from any martial art, going to say it's the best system in the world.
I got the best. Yeah, no. But that's interesting that, as far as the historical roots, that you guys are kind of one of the two, if not the sole one. Wow. That's interesting.
We have occasionally people surface on the Irish Stick Facebook group that have some family heritage doing this. But historically, it's been kept pretty close to the vest. It was never meant to be put out there to the public and a lot of people. So maybe their grandfather taught them some things, or maybe their great-grandfather or their father. It doesn't go much deeper than that, doesn't much further. And they may be great systems, but it's held pretty close to the vest. So
it's kind of oriented. Interesting.
Out there that do that, yeah. So I don't think their intent is to get it out there and grow it. It's for the longest time, Doyle didn't. The Doyle family didn't put it out there, and Glenn had the wherewithal to say, "Look, we need to get this out here because if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, it's over."
I know. Right? How would that have been? Like it would got all lost, right? It's like you see these systems that, like, I think there's a ton of systems that died in the Philippines. They just never got propagated. Nobody led it to the forefront, and it just died with the family. It's just kind of sad, right?
It's very much the Irish system. It was kept within a family or within a faction. So you would have factions that would train in a specific style, and these would be the family style, or people associated with the family would train them as well. But again, each area will be different. Ireland is a very small country, but it's a very different country in different parts. Like every country of the world, we're all different and all different. You go 10 miles down the road, everyone speaks with a different accent. The same thing with stick fighting. People will do something very different in another area.
Mm.
But from what we can tell, record-wise, it's very difficult to record because it wasn't seen as an important thing. It was Ireland was the Isle of Saints scholars, so a lot of it was very much religious based and very little about what the sort of common people were doing. So that's why a lot of it's disappeared.
Right, yeah. Well, thank God for you guys. I mean, anyway, so what do you what's your goal for the seminar on Sunday? I mean, it sounds like it's going to be more student based, right?
It's going to be student based, but we're also going to have coaches and instructors there, which is going to be fun. So I'm planning to do some nice basic stuff, but making it fun so people have never picked up a shillelagh before could come along, and we're hopefully John and lovely people like John are going to come along and bring loads of shillelaghs with them. Because
you need trainers, Bernie? You need trainers? I'll bring a bunch of loners with me.
Yeah, please, if you can. Yeah, loads of trainers. If anyone there who's coming, if you're listening, bring some sticks. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be someone who's never picked up a stick before. We're going to take them through it, we're going to show them, but we're going to go from very basic to very advanced. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, and you're getting out there. I mean, even despite the short notice, it sounds like you guys have you're getting some traction with it, right?
Well, like I say, it's Father's Day, so for your father, give him a day off. Let him come along and swing some sticks with him. It'll be so much fun. And what a treat for the good old boy to swing some sticks.
Just send that message.
Yeah.
So, how many folks? Good turn. It's going to be a good turnout.
I honestly don't know. I'm hoping it's going to be a turnout.
I think it will be. I think at the last minute you're just going to get folks coming, especially you're coming all the way from over here. It's not like you're coming here every month, so I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. You're coming in Thursday.
Coming in Thursday. I'm hoping that the New York faction, which is the Scrapping Squirrels, I hope some of them will turn up. I know Michael's a bit tied up. Michael DeRicky is the coach there. Rikiki. Sorry, Michael, if I pronounced your name wrong. He's coming along. He's hoping to come along, but obviously things are families going on. But yeah, we're trying to get as many as we can. So if you never picked up a shillelagh before and you fancy doing it, come along. It's going to be a good crack.
And I'll say again,
you have the good crack we have in Ireland, not the bad crack you over there.
If you're anywhere on the East Coast, you get a chance to train with Bernie, few and far between.
Yeah.
One of the best stick fighters in the world and the head of the system. And I'm not, again, saying that to be a compliment. It's the way it is. That's what we were really excited when he was coming back local again. So we'll be down. I'll bring a handful of students with me too.
That'd be awesome. I look forward to it.
What time are you starting?
Start at 12, midday.
12, and you're going to?
It's only till 3.
Yeah. I mean, on a Sunday, right? 3. Yeah. I mean, it's, all right. So let's just the day before. You guys are both going to that Piper thing. Like, what's
Well, I think it's a pipe making seminar. I think you're learning how to.
There we go.
Something to do with plumbing.
There's gonna be some plumbing going on there, right? So what gets you guys? What do you think about that? This whole Piper thing, like you Irish stick guys. Is it you find it complementary to what you're doing Irish stick, or kind of a nice balance to offset what you're doing in Irish stick?
I think it fits in quite nicely. It complements the movements very much. The the whole idea of it as well is get in, finish it, and go home, and that's the Irish stick sort of mentality. And Piper and Irish stick are very aligned in that sense. The movements as well. Some of them are very close in. The more advanced you get in Irish stick, the more you realize you're usually turning and using the whole body. Piper's exactly the same.
I agree. The
boxing
whole
influence too, right? The boxing influence.
Yeah. Boxing, still pugilist influence. The punching with the stick. It's exactly the same thing as the Piper, using the blade with exactly the same motion. The cross, the drop, and everything else is in there. So yeah, it does very, very well.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, John. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the hip rotation when we do with rotational momentum, that's all in there. There's a lot of crossover. The boxing footwork is there, and to Bernie's point, they're both close quarters. Even Irish stick is a close quarter system with a long range weapon, which really puts you in a different situation for some people. So getting in close when we're training in Piper, Dean, you and I, is comfortable for me, very, very familiar. In fact, put it out there again, the reason I got involved with Piper is because Bernie recommended it. He was training with, you got to try this Piper stuff. It's amazing. And then you and I had met in a couple different events and stuff, and we knew each other in an outside kind of way. And I'm like, let's do it. So I reached out to you and let's do it. It's fun. It's a very unique system. I mean, I do some knife. I'll never claim to be a knife expert. Don't get me wrong, but it's much more Filipino-y, Filipino based with some of the flow, and I love it. I have nothing against it. It's just this is not right. It's not wrong. It's different. But Piper is a very different system to me. I took a little bit to latch onto it because I had to get it out of my headspace of the Filipino type knife work that I've done. But I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. First it was like exploratory. Let's see what this is about, right? And then I got into it. I'm like, oh, this is some really strong tactical stuff. It's amazing. So.
Yeah, even though we don't embrace, you guys know by now what we don't embrace and all that, but the carryover to other arts, as far as the tactical approach and the body movements, and how that can complement everything else you do. And God forbid if you had to extract some of the stuff for self-defense, you know what I mean? And to me, I got involved. I was far removed from, more ways to hurt somebody. It was just, I just saw beauty in the chaos. I saw beauty in the movement, even though it was obviously very destructive. But I looked beyond the destruction. And I saw the beauty and just something I wanted to start doing. I didn't even care about putting the tip into somebody. I was just engrossed in the movement. And I saw the parallel or the potential where complementing the other stuff I do and so totally agree with you on that. But for folks that are just getting in, it could be a very tough initial lens to get past what you're initially seeing. You know what I mean? Like it can be, and hence why I don't want folks as far as under up seeing. That's why we don't post vids or anything. You know what I mean, or nothing like that, because that's not what we're about or what we want to advertise and kind of spook people off, so to speak, and it's far removed from any cult activity or that being personified.
I think the testament to good martial art is the longer you do it, the more you find. And with a lot of martial arts, you have your very baseline. But a good martial art, you have your baseline, which then starts to flower out, and you start to see other things within it. And I think both Irish Stick and Piper have that because you go along to the basics, and then it starts to build, and avenues open up, and ideas, and it just doesn't stop. And that's a symbol of a good martial art. I think the link as well with Piper and Irish Stick is, again, from the Irish Stick was the martial art of the poor and the impoverished and the sort of lower class in art. Very much like Piper, which is from the ghettos, and which are like the modern equivalent, in South Africa. And these are things that weren't done for fun; they were done for survival, and that's what makes them so work so well.
Yeah, right. I mean, they actually came from, they had to be used, whether it was self-defense or defending the whiskey distillery, right?
Yeah. Ishkaban.
We can't let this be taken over, man. We got to defend distillery.
When you come over to Ireland, I'm live on Facebook, aren't I? So I can't really say this, but there is a drink in Ireland made from potatoes, which I'll try and find you, which is what Ishkabaha really. Ishkabaha means whiskey or the water of life. But I'll try and find you some when you come over because it's great. With a few glasses, you can see in the dark. It's amazing stuff. So, you see why it was defended.
So the drink that you speak on, is it a whiskey?
It's very much like moonshine. Moonshine comes from what's called poaching, and poaching is the drink which was made from potatoes, and in the small distilleries. And these would be, and this is what happened. You had the big distilleries sending people out to destroy the poaching, because it meant that the people were drinking poaching because it was cheap. Where these guys were English-owned distilleries coming out and they were destroying the distilleries to get rid of the competition. And that's where the Doyles came in, because we were close in system. We could protect the still and fight these guys off very close in. And they got a reputation. And this is why the name, the Rincan Baha, Ishkabaha, the dance of the whiskey stick, comes into play, because they'd be seen dancing, protecting the whiskey or the poaching. So it's
so interesting. So the Doyle clan was protecting basically these small distilleries from being gobbled up.
Oh, well, they weren't being gobbled. They were being destroyed. They were being beaten up. They were attacking. They were sending goons down.
Okay.
Killing them. Yeah, they were trying to stab them. Do all sorts of. So it's very like the moonshining in America. You had like the guys in the sports, the cars zooped up and driving around. Very much the same thing. The Doyles would be there to protect the stills or protect the poaching makers or moonshiners. So the system is very handy, a two-handed system. So that's why it works so well, because you've got a tight in space. A lot of these things would be hidden away, and they'd be, so these guys come in with their bats and trying to hit the guys and beat the guys up and kill them, and the Doyles would be there to stop that and allow the flow of
Oh, good on them. All right. So that's,
because the system is the dance of the whiskey stick, or dance
of the whiskey stick. Wow. So the potato, I mean, they're still making this, what's equivalent to moonshine. Are there still some around, or is it kind of few and far between?
There is still some around. You have to know people to get it. I'm a law-abiding citizen officer. I would never touch this in my life, just for the record. But yeah, it's around. You can get it. It's good. You can, and they come in all flavors now. It's all very,
Now I gotta Google this and try to find this stuff now. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anybody here where I could get it from. But if you ever come over and I wouldn't know anybody. But if you want some, I don't know.
I don't know anybody, but if you want some.
Yeah, it's the quiet. It's not something I drink too much, to be fair. It's not. But
wow.
If you want to see in the dark and live forever, it's not something you'd.
Like what's the proof or about, like grain alcohol? What, 180 proof or whatever that?
It would be I don't know, 40 or 50%, something like that.
So it's up there, obviously. Okay.
It's not. The guys that make it were very good. You find that the guys that make bad stuff. I can't believe we're talking about this on the internet. The guys that make bad stuff tend not to last. The guys that make the good stuff, they go on for years, But it is illegal, I have to say.
It's illegal. Oh. Okay. All right. And again from potatoes still.
Is there a name for this stuff, Bernie, at all? What's that?
Poaching.
Oh, it is. Okay, it is. All right, good.
It's still going exactly the same way it's been made when the Doyles stills, and there's a big clampdown on it, because a lot of people every year you'd hear people being killed with it because they'd make it too strong and then they would drink it from the still and they'd all die. Yeah, horrible. So they kind of clamped down. There's a legal version you can get. There is a legal putty, but it's no one. It's not it. There's people out there, send me some. I'll try it for you. Free of charge, and I'll let you know. But the legal stuff's much better. So I've been told.
Jeez, man. That sounds like some pretty powerful stuff. Man. But again, that's interesting. Wow, how interesting. And they would protect them. That's fascinating. Wow.
You've got, not only had the whiskey distilleries, but you had rival gangs as well. So different factions. So people would come in and destroy the still. So that's where stick fighting came to play as well. Stick.
Right. Okay. Yeah, they had the right. They had to have something to protect. Okay. Right. Man, a system that came out protecting distilleries. That's pretty fascinating.
It was part of it. The system was.
Okay. Yeah.
It links back. In my view, it links back to the Celts, the Celtic sword work. It's very, very old martial art. And after the Norman invasion, when the Normans had taken Ireland, there was a kind of cry to disarm the Celts. So a lot of the Irish that were there that weren't, a lot of the barons and the lords and that became aligned to the Normans. So a lot of the Irish were they had swords had to be taken off them. So they would be disarmed. So what would happen is a lot of them would pick up the shillelagh, and because they were already trained on that, shillelagh would be the first weapon they were trained with as kids. Because if you think you've got a family's got a beautiful sword, you're not going to give it to your spotty 12-year-old to go and swing it in the hedges to learn how to sword fight. You're going to give him the stick. So they went out with the stick, and they started picking up the stick, and that's when it continued onwards. I always have this image of this Norman lord sat in his castle looking out at all these Irish people walking sticks, thinking, God, these people have got terrible walking diseases in Ireland because they're all using the stick to walk.
They're all using the stick.
Walking sticks, not thinking, actually, they'd take your head off. But there's so many different historical things, because like I said before, it's all word of mouth. It's all historically passed down through stories and tales, so it's very hard to find definitive written proof. And the only written proof we really start to have is when you have the English newspapers reporting it to Parliament about the stick fights and trying to clamp down on it, because initially it was seen that they didn't care the Irish during this fighting, because they were fighting amongst themselves. They're fighting amongst themselves. They're not going to fight us. It's easy for us to control them if they're fighting against each other. It then became, well, actually, what these people are fighting, it shows we have no control, so we need to get more control. So they then started slapping down. The Lord Lieutenant was changed, and they started clamping down on it, and they started clamping down with firearms and the army and police and all sorts. So the fights would just move. The fights would be in the town square, and they said that one of the things you used to say is the 12 o'clock. The 12 o'clock clock, which is the strike at 12, is when the fight would start. But what they did is they started moving out of the towns. They'd move to a field, and they'd go out and they'd all come back with black eyes and busted teeth and everything else. But equally with that, you had what's called the shillelagh law, and shillelagh law had two variations. The shillelagh law, which was, we're going to have a fight today. It's going to be a bit of fun. Okay, let's go. And you'd have like 30 people turn up. One team would have 18, and the other, would have 12. So they go, okay, what we'll do is we'll swap. So we'll even it out. So you'd come with your friends. So you might go join the other team, and then you'd all fight together. And then you'll be at the pub afterwards having a pint talking about what a great so-and-so did and how he took the cap off, And it was very hardy. But then you had the other side of shillelagh law, which was the honour side. So if someone did you wrong, it could be a fight to the death. There very often was, And some of these fights would involve shillelaghs, and then they might bring a knife into it. You would have guns sometimes if they're really angry. But
start out with a stick. Yeah, wow.
So it was about killing. So you would kill someone who had offended you or your family. It's all about honor. Very, very sort of tight. It was kind of our code of conduct. Like you look at the knights and the samurai, the Shido and all that. It was very much the same. If you and we have got the 8 Wises and the 10 Commandments of Dorsey, which are the laws that we follow when we fight. And these are very much. We have sayings like. One of my favorites is never leave always leave the table. Always leave the table with hunger in your stomach, which means when you fight someone and you knock them down, and they're on the ground and they're bleeding and they're hurt, that's the end of the fight, and you walk away. But if that person fights you again, then you finish them. Mm-hmm. So it's so beautifully lyrical, and that's the guidelines for what we follow. And if you look, every grading license I give out has those written inside, so people understand the rules of it.
That's awesome. Again, the history I just find so fascinating. Anything, John?
No, Bernie, if you want to mention Valier, I've heard different numbers depending on where I go to, but apparently this was a very vicious shillelagh, faction fight. I've heard 2,000 people. I've heard 500 people, but the biggest numbers I've heard is 2,000 people, and apparently 200 people died. That's how bad it was. There's even a plaque there on the beach. It's a beach that used to be a racetrack kind of thing. But when you've got 2,000 people swinging sticks, you know what I mean? And
isn't it? That Ballybunion?
Yeah. Ballybunion, yeah. And I guess Valier was the name of the beach itself. This is what I'm told. But that's brutal. There's that entertainment aspect of the violence, right? Like Bernie was talking, and then there's that flip side where it could get the drop of a hat, they could get into it, right? Like Bernie said, they had a disagreement. I was doing some research because I was doing some talks at some local libraries, and one guy got into a faction fight between families because the horse that they sold him was 1 inch shorter than he was supposed to be, and it broke out into a faction fight. I mean, things like that. They didn't trust the British legal system, so that's how they.
Oh, they had it. Okay. All right. So,
but it's a really, really interesting history.
I agree. I think it's, I mean, I just remember, when I first had Bernie on, the whole whiskey distilleries and going in the field and just a bunch of swinging sticks. Wow. Yeah, 200 dying. I mean, obviously that's pretty serious.
Yeah. I think it was reported like 39 died, but what they didn't take into effect were the people that were, because it was a beachfront type thing. A lot of them came in boats, so they didn't take into account the people that were beat up so much that when they disbanded, they couldn't make it to the boats because they were injured or tired, and people drowned. People died afterwards that weren't necessarily reported.
Yeah, right.
And so, it's interesting. We're swinging a stick. 200 people died from that. They're like, what? It's
right. It's just not for just for looks, right? Jeez.
And it's kind of funny. People look at it and they go, "Oh, it's the Irish street fight," and especially in Ireland, they go, "Is it violent?" And you go, "No, of course it's not violent. I mean, it'll kill you, but it's not violent. It's very skilled." We had a lad the other week came to the club. I teach in a club in Manor Hamilton, where I live, and he said he was telling, talk to the lady. Came an hour early before we started, and he said, "Oh, is it violent?" She goes, "Oh, we had an ambulance here last week." And I said, "You should have told him we had the hearse here. We had the coroner here to take somebody out. Find the ambulance. You want to pick us up, girl, not put us down." So the idea, I mean, it is violent. There is no, but it's not idiotically violent. It's controlled violence. I always say, if you one of Ireland's national sports called hurling. It's hurling for psychopaths. It's basically controlled violence, but with you in control, and everything's under controlled environment. It's not like everyone just turns up and batters each other. It takes a lot of skill to batter somebody properly.
Oh wow!
I just we have a local hurling team here, Bernie. So I'm gonna start checking out those matches. I'm really excited about it. Hurling is like field hockey on crack. And very, very exciting to watch. So.
Wow.
It's good fun.
So, all right. So you guys are coming. Obviously, we're going to see each other Saturday. You got your seminar Sunday. I'm just thrilled to finally get you two in a room and be able to work with you guys on Saturday. I definitely want to make it you guys worthwhile. So absolutely looking forward to this. When you leave? So when you officially leaving? Wednesday night, Randy, or when you?
Thursday early morning. So
early morning.
New York lunchtime, I think, on Thursday. So my wife's already got me planned what we're doing for those 2 days. So, but I'm hoping to meet some of the local stick fighters in the bar, stuff like that. We're hoping to catch up with a few of the lads while we're over. So, but yeah, well, it'll be good fun. Good crack. So.
Oh my God, I'm expecting nothing less. And how long's the flight?
I think it's about 6 hours.
Oh, okay, so not that bad. All right, okay.
6 hours there and 13 hours on the way back. We have to go back for Amsterdam. So not looking forward to it, but it'll be fun. It'll be a crack. So it's a big laugh.
Yeah. Man, awesome. John, final word. What say you? Final words?
Look, again, I'll say it again. If this is a chance to train with Bernie Leddy, the head of the system, one of the best stick fighters in the world. If you have the opportunity to get there, then get there. Even if you've never swung a stick, just come check it out. I guarantee you'll be hooked. It's a great opportunity and something that doesn't come around that often. Maybe and get a chance to train with Bernie. So, but yeah, looking forward to it. Can't wait to train both of you. You're both my instructors. That's why I'm sitting on this call. So I'm really excited about that. He and I have been doing Zoom. Again, things have changed. Bernie and I started out on Zoom. We still do Zoom on a monthly basis with other instructors. I can't get enough of it. So I'm really looking forward to training with both of you. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, same here. I can't really wait. It's going to be. Yeah, absolutely. I just can't say it better than you just did. Being in the same room with you guys. So, well, hey, have a safe flight, Bernie. I'm going to see you guys Saturday. Thank you guys for coming on. And there, appreciate it. And I hope you guys get a great turn on Sunday, which I'm sure. Certainly, I could blow it for you again, post an FMA discussion for you. No worries there. And, get it going.
So get yourselves down there. We'll see you on Saturday and Sunday. Come down. It's going to be good fun. Remember, it's Father's Day. Treat the old man. Get him down and give him a shillelagh. Come on. We'll see you down there.
All right, guys. You guys take care. See you Saturday.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Steve. Good luck, lads. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you Saturday, John.
See you then.
All right, that wraps up. Who is next? Who is next? Sunday, I believe this Sunday, we're going to be having Mae Williams, Duran Howard, and Spencer G. I think they have a seminar coming up, so we're going to be covering that Sunday. So, yeah, look for the flyer. We'll be having a discussion like everything else. But if you're not doing anything this weekend, yes, same location in New York. Name the town escapes me, but it's by Scarsdale. Flyers are all over the FMA discussion. But the Piper seminar Saturday, Bernie seminar Sunday, same location. Seminar on Saturday, 1 to 4:30. And Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he said 12 to 3, I think. Anyway, he's got a flyer going out there. So if you have any questions, reach out to either one of us. All right, folks.